Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited national park in the United States. Amie and I had never spent any time there, so on a recent trip to Tennessee, we decided to spend 2 days exploring the park. Here's what we did. We were staying in the town of Knoxville, so our trip began with a 1-hour drive towards Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I had never been to this area before and I didn't know what was going to greet me in Pigeon Forge, but it was definitely not what I expected.
Where are we?
Driving through the town of Pigeon Forge is an experience in and of itself. From passing the large replica Titanic and the National Enquirer building to visiting the stores with live bears, sharks, and alligators, it's a really strange experience to have on the way into the national park. Eventually we escaped Pigeon Forge and were greeted by green trees and small rivers as we made our way to our first stop in the Great Smokies, Rainbow Falls. We got the last parking spot in the Rainbow Falls Trail area. Going to have some food and then heading out on a 5-mile hike.
Woo!
Amie looks really excited.
Heading out on the trail to Rainbow Falls.
Rainbow Falls is one of the most popular trails in the park, and it's a nice introduction to the Great Smoky Mountains with a beautiful shaded trail and a stream you follow most of the way. We're about a half mile into the hike. 2 things to note. 1, it's uphill most the entire way, and 2, it's really humid. We're from Southern California, we're not used to being this sweaty. After getting used to the humidity, Amie and I relaxed and really did enjoy the 2.6 miles to Rainbow Falls. We even saw a snake along the way.
Wow, that's a big snake.
We stumbled right across this snake as we were hiking, and I asked a park ranger later and he told me it's a black king snake that's not dangerous. From here, the trail left the stream and started gaining elevation as it made its way up in the mountains. Is it gonna rain on us?
Maybe. Looks like a storm's rolling in.
Not complaining about the humidity as much anymore. Luckily for us, the rain never came, even though it probably would have felt nice with the humidity. Made it back to the stream again. We're still waiting for Rainbow Falls. Somewhere around here. After 2.6 miles, you'll eventually cross a bend and you'll see Rainbow Falls in the distance. First view of the waterfall right there. We made it to Rainbow Falls. Rainbow Falls is a nice destination in the Great Smoky Mountains as it's the largest single fall waterfall in the park, standing at over 80 feet. When you make it to the falls, there's lots of nice rocks you can sit and relax at, plus you can explore all around the area, even behind the waterfall, but if you choose to do that, be very careful as the rocks are really slippery.
That was a good end to this hike. Now let's head back.
Alright, so we just made it back. That was a beautiful hike. You got to walk along the creek most of the way, lots of beautiful trees, and then of course the 80-foot waterfall at the end. Good introduction to the national park. We're exhausted though, so we're going to an early dinner and then we're going back to the hotel. We headed back down into the town of Gatlinburg, and while it's not as crazy as Pigeon Forge, it's still pretty quirky. The town was super busy, and so Amie and I are at a fancy restaurant after our hike. Shrimp for Amie.
And a prime rib sandwich for Josh.
This is our hotel in Gatlinburg. It's nice. I think it was like $80 a night, $85 a night. But check this out. What? It was hard to beat the views from our hotel, and we spent each night that we were there having a drink out on the patio.
Got our coffee, we're headed into the park. Got the jams on. Ready to go.
We were trying to figure out what we wanted to do today, but after talking to the park ranger, we decided to make the 1-hour drive to Cades Cove, which is one of the most popular areas of the park. Even the drive there is beautiful as you follow a river most of the way, and there's small seasonal waterfalls as well. Eventually we made it to Cades Cove, paid $1 for the tour booklet, and started the 11-mile loop drive. There's 17 places you can stop at in Cades Cove according to the map, so Amie and I decided to stop at as many as we could.
We just got to Cades Cove and our first stop is John Oliver's cabin.
Most of the stops around the area take you to either churches or homesteads.
On to the next spot.
Note that this is a Monday in May and there's still traffic in this area, so definitely plan on there being traffic if you come. We didn't know what to expect when we started driving through the Cades Cove area, but it is an 11-mile one-way loop road and most of the road is only one lane. Because of that, if there's animals to be seen, people often stop in the road and it could take hours to get through the loop. One of the park rangers we talked to said it took 3 hours to get through the loop on a busy summer day, so do note that going in. That being said, it is a beautiful drive, especially if you like history, and there are 2 roads that you can turn off at if you want to cut the drive short while going through the loop.
Stop 4, Missionary Baptist Church. We're not getting out because of all this. Make sure you get here early.
We experienced the traffic firsthand as there was a bear way off in the distance that I used my zoom lens for, and people just parked in the middle of the road and we sat there for about 45 minutes. It wasn't bad because we got to see a bear, but if you're in a rush, note that if someone parks in the road, there's no way around them. It was lunchtime for us, so we stopped at the Cable Mill Historic Area, which is about halfway through the park, and it's a great place to stop with lots to see.
There's no food here in the park, so make sure you bring your own. Cheers.
After lunch, be sure you go over and see the cable mill, which was one of my favorite things I saw in the entire Cades Cove area and which was built in the late 1800s. You can go inside when it's open and learn about the mill process as well as buy some cornmeal that was made in the same processing style but off-site. From there, we headed back onto the loop and stopped at a few more cabins before ending our time in Cades Cove.
Watch your head. Last stop, Carter Shields cabin. Now we're heading to Laurel Falls, if we can find parking.
Deer traffic. Got some snacks, chips, and ice cream. Just saw a bear. Pretty good day.
The sink.
On the way back, we decided to pull out at the Sinks, which is a small 15-foot waterfall that's part of a rushing river, and which is one of the only waterfalls you can drive up to in the park. It has a nice overlook and it's a great quick stop for pictures. Score! We found parking. Got lucky. Made it to Laurel Falls. We're able to grab a parking spot, about to head out to the waterfall. Wanted to give you a few quick notes on Cades Cove. First, bring your patience. It's a one-lane road. People stop in the middle of the road to see different sights, so make sure you're patient and you'll have a good time there. Also, bring any snacks that you have as there's not a lot to eat. We planned on it being only 1 to 2 hours, but it ended up being 3 to 4 hours. Still a great place to explore in the park though. Let's head out to the waterfall. Laurel Falls is probably the most recommended spot in the park as it's a 2.6 mile round trip hike that takes you to a beautiful waterfall. Because of that, it can often be packed as there's not a large parking area.
Laurel Falls.
It didn't take Amie and I long to make it to the falls, and even though it was packed, it's still a beautiful 2-tier waterfall that we spent some time exploring. I would definitely recommend hiking down to the bottom tier. Not as many people go there and it's just as beautiful.
We're heading back to Gatlinburg for dinner and then we're gonna head back up into the mountains for sunset.
The town of Gatlinburg is only about a 15-minute ride from Laurel Falls.
We are back in Gatlin, Vegas for dinner.
Oh yeah.
This was our first time really experiencing downtown Gatlinburg, and it's crazy how different it is than the national park experience.
found ourselves at a fancy establishment. So tonight, we're keeping it low key. Five Guys grilled cheese. We're In-N-Out fans, but let us know in the comments, Five Guys or In-N-Out? What's your favorite?
In the town of Gatlinburg, there's a few really popular attractions. Ripley's Believe It or Not, the Gatlinburg Space Needle, and the Skybridge. The Skybridge was the newest attraction and we really wanted to see it while we were in the city.
We decided to head up the lift to the Skybridge.
We are headed up to the Skybridge. Amy's really afraid of walking on it,
Yeah.
but I'm not afraid.
Yeah, we'll see about that. That's the longest pedestrian bridge in the United States, and it's supposed to have a glass bottom, so we're gonna check it out.
The bridge officially opened in May of 2019 and it's over 700 feet long and 150 feet off the ground below.
Here's the glass. Whoa. That was awesome.
After facing our fears on the Skybridge, it was time to head down and go to our last stop.
Only one more stop for our time in Great Smoky Mountains, and it is Clingmans Dome, which is right out there.
The drive from Gatlinburg to Clingmans Dome is about 45 minutes and it takes you up over to the North Carolina side of the Great Smoky Mountains. We're at the Newfound Gap, which is the tallest part of the road that goes right through the park.
We're also currently on the Appalachian Trail, which is pretty cool. Maine is only 1,900 miles from here.
From here, it was only about a 15-minute drive to our sunset spot at Clingmans Dome. We've reached the last stop on our journey, Clingmans Dome, which is supposedly the best spot in the park for sunset. While the hike up to Clingmans Dome is actually pretty short at only around a half mile, don't underestimate it as there's a ton of uphill and you're at the tallest part of the park, so you'll feel the elevation. Eventually you'll round the corner and reach the iconic concrete observation tower. Built in 1959, the concrete observation tower sits about 45 feet above the summit and it provides 360-degree views of the entire park. It was an amazing way to end our 2 days as it gave you a great appreciation for how gigantic this park is.
Well worth the uphill hike. The views are awesome. Well, that's it for us. Thanks so much for exploring Great Smoky Mountain National Park with us. We'll see you guys on the next video.